spending in the pandemic as the Prime Minister promises a fiscal and economic snapshot next month. A multi-million-dollar campaign fails to come to fruition as Canada comes up short in its bid for a seat on the UN Security Council.
5 days after the shooting death of Rayshard Brooks, charges have been laid against a former Atlanta police officer and a second officer who was also on scene. And today, families and friends will be able to reunite as long-term care and retirement homes begin accepting visitors for the first time in almost 3 months.
We'll get you the latest on the negotiations between Major League Baseball and its players as the Rogers Cup will not be played in Toronto this year. Sports at 15.
North American markets are coming off a mixed session with only the NASDAQ rallying for a fourth day in a row. And earnings are on the way today from Empire Company and Kroger.
680 News Time 101. It's time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Good morning, Craig Gear.
Hey, good morning. This report brought to you by 680 News Gets Answers. We have a lot of construction out there blocking some ramps, but for the most part, we are up to speed through all of our construction zones. Eastbound 401, we have no access from Trafalgar, southbound Winston Churchill, Mississauga Road, or Mavis. All these ramps to the East 401 are closed. Eastbound 401 ramp to here, Ontario has been shut down. The express lanes are closed from east of Kipling over to Allen, and also out near Curtis Road to the 418, 2 left lanes are blocked off. It's moving well through here. Westbound 401, we have no access from northbound Fort Union, Nielsen, Markham Road, or northbound McCowan. These ramps to the west 401 are closed. The ramp off the highway to McCowan's been blocked, and approaching into the 404, the collector lanes are shut down. At the 427, only the left lane is open, and southbound Mississauga Road and southbound Winston Churchill ramps to the west 401 are also blocked off. Complete ramp closures that are left here. Northbound 427 ramps to Finch and Highway 7 shut down. And eastbound 403 is closed tonight at Dundas. You can use Dundas to get to Winston Churchill and get back on the eastbound 403 there. Do you have questions about COVID-19? 680 News is working to get you the answers you need. Ask us anytime at 416-872-6800, and we'll work to get you the answer. Your next report is at 111, and with the forecast, here's Adam Stiles.
It's another sunny day here across the GTA. Afternoon high temperatures, slightly warmer, 29 in the forecast. We'll see Humidex values in the lower 30s as the relative humidity stays fairly low. It's a bit of a fresher, warm day with more sunshine. Today's high, 29.
Right now in downtown Toronto, clear and 18 degrees. Similar conditions at Pearson Airport and 20 degrees. 680 News Time 103. The Trudeau government lives to see another day after surviving a confidence vote in the middle of the pandemic. The Prime Minister also promising an update on federal finances next month. So Canadians can see
no other party wants to step in now. Now he's already spent the money. No point stepping in now.
McSweeney joins us with more.
A federal bill approving $87 billion in program spending through the pandemic has been approved in the House of Commons on division. Since it was a confidence vote, that means the country avoids seeing the minority Trudeau government fall, potentially launching us into an election. As the Fed spend tens of billions on financial aid, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is promising to deliver what he calls a snapshot of federal finances on July 8th. He says it will show Canadians where the numbers stand in the books, how they compare to other countries, and where we're heading in the coming months. In recent weeks, Trudeau rejected opposition calls for a full fiscal update, and he stresses this upcoming snapshot is only a short-term fiscal portrait.
An economic and fiscal update would be unrealistic right now because it automatically includes projections for a year, 3 years, 5 years ahead of time, which, quite frankly, we simply couldn't make any responsible predictions about.
Trudeau can't say when we'll see a budget, which was scheduled for March but postponed indefinitely due to the pandemic. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
After calling a fellow MP a racist, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh was removed from the House of Commons yesterday. Singh had been seeking unanimous consent for a motion on systemic racism in the RCMP, but it was then blocked. He says Bloc Québécois MP Alain Thériault is the one responsible, and he stands by his words.
In the context of Indigenous people dying, in the context of violence against Indigenous people and Black people, in that context, someone who votes against that is a racist. Yes.
While speaking with reporters, Singh became emotional, choking up as he asked why we can't act to save lives. The bloc formally complained to the speaker, but Singh refused to apologize, and the Speaker of the House ordered him removed from the chamber for the day. Singh's motion was to acknowledge systemic racism in the RCMP and demand a review of the budget of the police force and its rules and training around use of force. Canada has lost its bid for a coveted seat on the United Nations Security Council. 680's Asher Roth reports.
Canada's ambassador to the United Nations, Marc-André Blanchard, says these races are always competitive, and this one was no different.
A race like the one we were in, three countries that have a lot to bring to the world and to the UN. It's a difficult choice.
The Trudeau Liberals spent more than $2 million on the unsuccessful campaign, prompting outgoing Conservative leader Andrew Scheer to tweet out an image of a child swinging and missing at a golf ball. But John Curtin, an international relations professor at the University of Toronto, says there are larger issues in the grand scheme of things.
There's a great many foreign policy professionals who are using the word devastating and humiliating. It is none of that. It is a disappointment, but it's not a surprise.
Curtin says Canada has far more influence on the world stage as a G7 and G20 member. I'm Asher Roth.
680 News Time 106. Well, today marks the first day since March that families and friends can visit their loved ones in residential care homes. These areas have been hit the hardest by COVID-19, as the majority of Ontario's deaths came from these facilities during the peak of the pandemic. In consultation with the Chief Medical Officer of Health, the provincial government has decided to take a gradual approach of reintegrating visitors to these homes, which includes a strict health and safety protocol. Visitors must pass active screening tests. They must wear a face covering during the visit and have to maintain physical distancing at all times. Long-term care and retirement homes, as well as other residential care settings, must also meet certain conditions before they welcome visitors. Homes must not be in an outbreak. They must have an established process for communicating visitor protocol and have to maintain the highest infection prevention and control standards. Starting today, long-term care homes will allow outdoor visits of one person per resident, and retirement homes will resume indoor visits in designated areas. Starting next month, anyone riding the rocket will have to wear a face covering. The TTC voted unanimously yesterday afternoon to make masks mandatory on the transit system starting on July 2nd. Customers with medical conditions and children under 2 years old will be exempt. Customers could be fined $195 for not following this new rule, but TTC CEO Rick Leary and Mayor John Tory say they do not plan on issuing tickets, and service will not be denied to anyone not wearing a face covering. A former Atlanta police officer accused of shooting Rayshard Brooks in the back is now facing over 10 charges in connection with his death. As 680's Phil Martino tells us, the second officer on scene also facing charges.
District Attorney Paul Howard says they have concluded that at the time that Rayshard Brooks was shot, he did not pose an immediate threat of death. Former Atlanta police officer Garrett Rolfe has now been charged with felony murder in connection with the fatal shooting.
And the possible sentences for a felony murder conviction would be life without parole, or the death penalty.
Rolfe is facing close to a dozen charges in total. Devin Brosnan, the other police officer on scene, faces 3 charges, including aggravated assault. The district attorney says what's remarkable is that Brosnan has now become a witness in the case.
Within a matter of days, he plans to make a statement regarding the culpability of Officer Rolfe.
The 27-year-old Brooks was shot in Atlanta during an attempted arrest 5 days ago. I'm Phil Martino.
The city is investigating a bylaw officer following reports that he racially profiled 2 women in a park in Etobicoke.
The officer was trying to clear people out of this permit-only track, which is currently closed to the public, but the women say he took a very different tone with them because of the color of their skin.
He uttered these exact words. He said, "Did you know that you 2 are trespassing? And if this were my home, I'd be licensed to shoot you both."
The city is investigating the incident with input from the newly created anti-Black racism unit, but they're looking for for a neutral third party to lead the investigation.
Anti-black racism. Thank you, you fucking assholes. Oh, we didn't mean to fucking say. Yes, you did.
So there's no suggestion that people are investigating themselves.
City spokesperson Brad Ross says he is not sure. He can't say how long the investigation will take, but he did confirm that the bylaw officer in question is still employed by the city. He wouldn't say if he's still on active duty or not. Erica Natividad, City News.
In an attempt to slow down the spread of COVID-19, an increasing number of countries have made wearing face masks mandatory in public spaces. Should Canada be doing the same? We'll ask Toronto pediatrician and ER physician Dr. Dina Kulik this and more. Watch it live on the 680 Facebook account today at 2 p.m.
How do I spell Kulik?
That's
who said it's airborne. She's local. Okay.
The price went up 1 cent at midnight to just under $1.02 a liter at most GTA stations. We'll have traffic and weather together next. 680 News Time, 1:10. COVID-19 continues to be a serious health risk, so we have to continue to protect ourselves and others to limit the spread of disease. That means wearing a non-medical mask or face covering in places like grocery stores and public transit, washing our hands often, and staying home if sick. That's how we'll help keep our loved ones safe. Let's protect each other. Learn more at canada.ca/coronavirus or 1-833-784-4397. A message from the Government of Canada. 680 News Time. It's 1:11 time for traffic and weather together. Here's Craig Gear.
And it's a construction-filled drive out there. We have some ramps that are blocked. The Trafalgar, southbound Winston Churchill, Mississauga Road, and the Mavis ramps to the eastbound 401 closed. Eastbound 401 ramp to here, Ontario is blocked as well. No access in the express from east of Kipling to the Allen. You're in the collectors through there. And then approaching Curtis Road to the 418, you're down to a single right lane. Lots of other construction zones as well, but those are the biggest problem areas. Northbound Port Union, Nielsen, Markham Road, northbound McCowan ramps to the westbound 401 shut down this morning too. Approaching Warden to the 404, the collectors have been closed, and then at the 427 on the westbound 401, only the left lane is open. Southbound Mississauga Road and southbound Winston Churchill ramps to the west 401 are also blocked off. Northbound 427, no access to Finch or Highway 7, so plan for that. And the eastbound 403 is closed at Dundas. Next report at 1:21 with the forecast. Here's Adam Stiles.
We've got a high of 29 in the forecast today with a little bit of a lake breeze, which means it will be cooler near the shores of Lake Ontario, likely in the lower 20s. Heading up to an afternoon high temperature tomorrow of 29. Looks like the overnight low is going to be a bit on the mild side as well, starting off the day tomorrow at 17 degrees. More sunshine expected, but we need to watch out for a little lake breeze thunderstorms. It's going to be affecting the north end of the GTA likely throughout the afternoon hours. Today it's sunshine.
Thunderstorms don't produce a
In downtown Toronto right now, it is 18 degrees with a clear sky and 20 over at Toronto Pearson Airport, also clear. Investigators in the U.S. say the pilot of the helicopter that crashed in thick fog, killing former basketball star Kobe Bryant and 7 others, reported that he was climbing while he was actually descending. The National Transportation Safety Board said the pilot's last transmission said he was climbing to 4,000 feet to get above the clouds, but he actually was in rapid descent into a hillside northwest of Los Angeles. This news comes in a 1,700-page report from the National Transportation Board. Kobe and his young daughter Gigi were on the chopper when it crashed on January 26th. A final report of the crash will be coming soon. Still to come, all of your top stories in sports. 680 News Time, it's 1:13.
Be the first to know. Breaking news as soon as it happens. 680 News.
If you've got conference calls scheduled between serving lunch, teaching, and working out, we get it. We can't help with everything, but we can make sure your family is protected. RBC Insurance is here to help you get it. Book an insurance check-in at rbcinsurance.com/check-in.
Record Express sets the standard for safe, secure, and fast document management.
Taking a look at your traffic, and I hope I don't speak too soon. It's a fairly
Express offers no contact
fairly quiet on the roads, considering that the roads are wet and it is raining in most parts of KZN. We don't have any serious incidents to report on, so let's hope it stays that way. Keep a safe social distancing, add some extra travel time to your trip, and don't forget to wear a mask. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team, I'm Jayshree Parasraman.
Report traffic now.
Taking a look at your traffic, and our roads are looking very good at the moment, so great to all you motorists. Thumbs up to you. And due to rain, the roads are wet in most parts of KZN. So continue to keep safe social distancing, add some extra travel time to your trip, and drive safely. Don't forget to wear a mask. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team,
No, see, that
I'm
makes
J.Q.
sense.
Roman.
It's raining, so the roads are wet.
Taking a look at your traffic, it's misty conditions on the N3, so remember to put on your headlights. And due to rain, the roads are wet in most parts of KZN, so keep the safe social distancing and add some extra travel time to your trip, and don't forget to wear a mask. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team, I'm J.Q. Raman.
Report traffic now. Tweet at ECR Traffic.
I know I should find other radio stations. I barely get through what I find each day. And I still can't get the CBC in French on the goddamn internet. That's not right. I keep needing to check for these other fucking... I should open that up too. No, I shouldn't. Are you guys working today? I didn't need to clear anything, did I? You can take the bus from here straight to Yorkdale, walk to the fucking Gold bus terminal, go to wherever. Fucking casino, D-Bus. Everywhere except for Western Canada, apparently. No bus, so this is not functioning. Oh, it should take this now. There it goes. Oh, please work. We're lonely and bored and we need to know what's going on at all fucking times, please. China, you're disappointing me. What happened? Stop voting and there's nothing there. Damn it.
Time for a new car. Here's to you from Honda. Right now, lease the 2020 Honda Civic LX from just $59 weekly at 1.99% and 0 down, including a $1,000 Honda bonus. And shop safely with enhanced safety procedures in all dealerships. Here's to the power of determination, and here's to the road ahead. Includes rate and fees for 60 months, taxes extra, OAC. See HondaOntario.com.
Yeah, you got the electric windows only on one side, right?
Players and personalities dial up the competition in an NHL 20 gaming event like no other.
I know it's not the hockey that you're used to, but you're going to get to see more of these guys' personalities.
Join host Paul Bissonnette and Sean McKenzie for some virtual stick skills and big league shirts.
In the post, the goalie guesses the wrong way.
The hockey community battles it out for charity.
Jazz show. Well, we're not doing that.
Bracket Challenge, powered by EA Sports, NHL 20.
South to Beijing.
Family members of those killed during the mass shooting in central Nova Scotia in April are now seeking to launch a class action lawsuit against the RCMP in the province, arguing that police failed to adequately protect and inform the public.
They shot at us.
Filed the Nova Scotia Supreme Court, the plaintiffs allege the RCMP failed to send timely and appropriate warnings to members of the communities where a gunman killed 22 people in 5 communities on April 18th.
Why are you not suing them for shooting at us?
The RCMP in the province have yet to file a statement.
Well, they didn't do the job that I thought they would do, that they're not required to do. That's why they're not allowed to join the fucking army.
From the GTA, most of them located overseas. Police say their investigation involved the Canada Border Services Agency, better known as CBSA, and the Italian National Police. 30 of the vehicles were found in shipping containers that were on stopovers at 2 Italian ports. The final destination of the containers was supposed to be Libya and Turkey. 10 vehicles were tracked down by the CBSA before they could be exported from Canada. The total value of those
let's put it into the European Union and then pull it out again. Maybe you won't get caught. You guys are
it's 119. Well, John
what they have in the
Trump's
European
former
Union cars.
advisor, is out with a bombshell book on the U.S. president. 680's Richard Southern has more.
Those that have read it,
you might as well have stolen from Italy and drove to Turkey. You fucking morons.
One who is susceptible to transparent flattery by authoritarian
the kids I grew up with would be so disappointed.
Eruptions. The memoir by Trump's former national security advisor details how Trump allegedly didn't know Britain was a nuclear power and wondered if Finland was a part of Russia.
Bolton recounts numerous conversations Trump had with Chinese leaders, where he asked them to buy U.S. agricultural products so he could have a better shot at winning the 2020 election.
The arguments about getting China to buy soybeans.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un a copy of Elton John's CD Rocket Man, indicating Trump wasn't too concerned. The book also details how Trump's top advisors mocked him behind his back. I'm Richard Southern.
680 News is working for you, trying to get the answers you need to any questions about COVID-19. Toronto's Associate Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Vanita Dubé, joined the 680 News team for a question and answer session. 680's Dilshad Berman has more.
What will it take for Toronto to enter stage 2 of reopening? Toronto's Associate Medical Officer of Health says it's not about hitting just a single milestone.
There are a number of indicators, we call them, that we're looking at. A lot of it has to do with the activity of the virus. We still have a number of cases. Our rate, meaning the number of cases we have per population, is still higher than other parts of the province. And we want to be able to see that those are really coming down, that our 7-day average shows that they're declining, to feel more comfortable in opening. That being said, it's also a decision of the provincial government as well.
You can find today's full COVID-19 Q&A session with Dr. Vanita Dubé on our website, 680news.com. Dilshad Berman, 680 News.
680 News Time 121. It's time for traffic and weather together. Here's Craig Gear.
It's a morning of construction. Just like any other, we have a bunch of ramps that are blocked. All the ramps southbound Winston Churchill, the Mississauga ramps, and the Mavis ramps to the eastbound 401 shutdown. Eastbound 401 ramp off the highway to Huron, Ontario has been blocked too. No express lanes available from east of Kipling to the Allen. They've been closed down. And then a bunch of other construction here and there. We have some stretches of the express lanes closed, but everything's moving nicely. We also have approaching Curtis Road to the 418. Only a single right lane open, but no delays, no issues there. Northbound Port Union ramp to the West 401, that's closed, along with the Nielsen, the Markham Road, and northbound McCowan ramps to the highway. The westbound 401 ramp to McCowan's been closed, and then the collector lanes are shut down from Warden to the 404. At the 427, only the left lane's open. Southbound Mississauga Road and southbound
Harvard won't require SAT or ACT
Some other fully closed ramps are the northbound 427 ramps to Finch and Highway 7. And the eastbound 403 has been closed at Dundas. Kind of a weird one. You're going to get forced off at Dundas. But if you head over to Winston Churchill and then northbound, you can get back on the eastbound 403 from there. Your next report's at 1:31, and with the forecast, here's Adam Stiles.
It's a warm one yet again. Daytime highs today, 29, feeling like 31. Southeast breeze up to about 30 kilometers per hour. Near the lakeshore, it'll be into the lower 20s if you want to break from the heat. As we head overnight, temperatures down to 17 degrees. The sky is clear.
I didn't do this on purpose. It's the same thing that happens on my
showers, risk of thunderstorms into the afternoon, forming along our lake breeze boundary, so the north end of the GTA could see a few scattered showers late in the day. Everybody else sticks with sunshine and a high temperature of 29. Humidex will be close to 32. As we make our way into the day on Saturday, it's sunshine. 31 on the forecast, feeling like 37. As we make our way into Sunday, more sunshine. 31 also feeling like 37. Chance of storms late
websites can check
Sunday. So looks like most of the weekend stays dry. Today, a high of 29 in the
I always
forecast.
get the feeling that Google
18 degrees in downtown Toronto with a clear sky, and 20 with a clear sky at Toronto Pearson Airport. Remember, 680 News is the only radio station with a weather guarantee. Today's jackpot standing at $3,400. 680 News Time 123.
Make the most of what comes next.
123.
With a bank account that gives you more. With the Scotiabank Ultimate Package, you can get a boost to your savings, unlimited Interac e-transfer transactions, and a $300 welcome bonus. So make the most of what comes next with the Scotiabank Ultimate Package for a limited time. Conditions apply. Visit scotiabank.com/ultimate300. Scotiabank.
Enjoy the summer breeze with Phantom Screens.
This week,
we gotta wear them. Bugs are up with this. We don't want no bugs there.
Visit 680news.com and submit your
If you have
entry
a bird
into the
flying
draw.
up in the face.
Serving Ontario for more than 25 years. Phantom's retractable door screens and motorized screens.
I tried to pay my fucking fines and it's on invalid. You're fine. You're a fence stop. It's invalid. Well, that's all fine and well, but does that mean I entered it wrong? Does that mean the offense is like, what, I don't owe the money? Like, what does that mean? Oh, let's hope I hit the right one. Oh, A1DESK. Oh. Once in a while.
Big guns round here on the dun-dun. You don't even want to know where they come from. If you want one, it costs $2.5. And we got firework like July. What you want to buy? Name the product. When it's time to rap, it get black shot up. Y'all shots up? What shot what? Just the sky, cause no one's a target. You heard proud of that? That's some hard shit. You heard proud of what? That's some garbage. That's nonsense. So want to content. But I don't let that fake shit phase me. I can't fuck with y'all fugazi. The name's 80. I'm wavy. When the fuck boys hate us, they gon' hate me. But they won't do shit, they soft like pastry. If there's a problem, let me know that. A bullet in the big guns will show that. Got the soft, he's asking where the stove at. Look with me, he's asking where the hose at. I got too many bars where the dough at. If you holding up, hold that. I've been hot all year where the snow at. 3 mixtapes 1 year, all crack. The streets been waiting, but I'm back. I'm the best right now, that's a known fact. I shoot anywhere, chest, stomach, dome, back. It don't matter as long as he gets clapped. And you know that my dunnies all with that. All he asking is where the solar whip at. Duck down when you hear a big stick clap. Welcome to the Dundas, bitch, nigga, stay stressed. Southside Jane, come around here, get one to your brain. Ain't an old man, but I push that cane. Look in my eyes, you'll see that pain. Since 16, been in this game. Grinding, stacking, gotta maintain. In the trap, rolling up, Mary Jane. I'm rolling up Mary Jane, my dun-duns go to the block to make it rain. Ain't talking about throwing change. Lives get snatched like change. Dumb boys, you know what I claim. I rap cause I can, you niggas want fame. All the heads keep telling me do my thing. But I've been doing my thing. Ain't what the bitch, that bitch was a fling. Phone bling, raw boardings. Anytime my phone rings. All week, same clothing. OT, so my phone's roaming. Ride outs, whip stolen. Every nigga riding with me holding. Our niggas blocks just strolling. For Bud Dog, Henny pouring. Stay winning like Jordan. On the other side, we scoring. Kick the out cause she boring. She talking, I'm ignoring. If it ain't money, not important. On the deep south where it's scorching. If I see a gator, I'm torching. Niggas think I'm joking. Niggas talking about what they gon' do, but I never seen them in the streets yet. Pull out game, ain't weak, nigga. Nina already know that. Drop fast and blow that. Niggas sleeping like Snorlax. You ain't hype, boy. You better relax. You ain't hype, boy. You better relax. My beam came from rehab. 2 days he relapsed. Ride around your block, nigga. Swear I done about 5 laps. All you hear is 5 claps. Tires squealing. After that, you gon' need a doctor like Aftermath. Shots ringing like at the class. I'm good chat. Shout out to Crash. Fiends of the Rock. Damon Dash. No hero. How the stick flash. When you hear my shit, put it on blast. Put it on blast. Toronto's best. The rest trash. Getting paid. Counting cash. Every rack I make, throw it in the stash. Where you from, my nigga? Done dash. Throwing shots, better think fast. You niggas broke, go get a cast. Where you from, my nigga? Done dash, with them guns blast, better run fast, you get done fast, don't be a dumbass.
Don't be a dumbass. Dollar sign. Oh, fuck. Please don't fuck this up. Just close this and start. Because you're gonna fuck it up, I already know.
sitting at a comfortable 18 degrees with a clear sky.
Are you a fucking drunk? 18, yeah, it's not warm,
pretty
it's not
similar,
cold.
20 degrees and clear as well. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto. You can listen 3, 4, 5 times a day, and you'll always be in the know. At the sound of the double tone, 680 News time, it's 1:30.
Number 1 for news in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Good morning. This is Wednesday, June 7th, Thursday, June 18th. I'm Veronica Soar.
Hey, good morning. I'm Carlene Donahue.
Hey, it's 1:30 in the morning. How'd you fuck that up?
Government lives to see another day as
Is that
it
a
survives
digital
a
sign in
conference vote
front
in
of
the House
him?
of
It says
Commons.
Wednesday.
The Prime Minister also vowing to deliver what he calls a federal economic snapshot amid this pandemic. A major blow for the Trudeau Liberals as a multi-million-dollar bid for a seat on the United Nations Security Council comes up short.
Good.
A former Atlanta police officer has been charged with murder in connection with the fatal shooting of Rayshard Brooks. The other officer at the scene plans to testify as a witness in the case.
And hundreds of people attending a demonstration outside the Peel District School Board headquarters on Wednesday, including Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown.
Oh, really?
Major League Baseball and its Players Union continue to work on a deal to try to get a season started as the Premier League makes its return. Sports at 45.
Earnings action continues today with fourth quarter results expected from Empire Company. Kroger is also set to report as North American markets come off a mixed session.
680 News time, 1:31.
It's time for traffic and weather together on.
These people should fucking pay me to mix this shit together. I'm getting them my messages. I said, no, I don't actively give a fuck. I have holes in my legs. Oh, this is not good. West End, West, oh, fucking end, there it is. Hey, YouTube, can I just hear it, or do I have to click it again to hear it? I just gotta get to watch it. Or not. Tab. Like, what the fuck? You got as far as telling me to tap it to turn it off. No, but we don't censor Toronto rappers. We just don't let their videos load. Oh, well, it's your internet. No, it's your device. Can give me your email at no. Oh, well, this is a fucking
countries and what we can expect for the months to come.
But Trudeau stresses this will not be a normal fiscal update since the government can't predict what may happen in the years ahead. The Bloc Québécois have been calling for a fiscal update, but leader Yves-François Blanchet is critical of the timing of this.
In the middle of summer, in order to have people not watch it while they will be having a beer around the barbecue.
Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
In the House of Commons yesterday, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh was kicked out for calling a Bloc Quebec MP a racist and refusing to apologize. Singh says he was angered when one MP spoke up in opposition of an RCMP discrimination bill that received almost unanimous consent from the Commons.
And in that moment, I got angry. I'll be honest, I got angry. But I'm sad now. Because why can't we act? Why can't we do something to save people's lives? We can do something. And why would someone say no to that?
The Bloc lodged a formal complaint in the House, but Singh refused to apologize for his remarks, and the Speaker ordered him out of the chamber for the rest of the day. Singh says he stands by what he said, stating anyone who wants to vote against a motion calling out systemic racism in the RCMP is a racist.
Well, nearly 5 years and more than $2 million later, Canada has lost its campaign for a seat on the UN National Security Council, with Norway and Ireland making the cut instead.
There's only $1,000 a day. That's not bad for this fucking government.
Champagne says the campaign was an opportunity for Canada to renew and strengthen its bilateral relationships around the globe.
We will continue to work with the international community to advance global cooperation and build a more peaceful, inclusive, and sustainable world.
John Curtin, an international relations professor at the University of Toronto, says the short-term seat that Canada was seeking is better suited for middle powers, and Ireland and Norway fit that bill.
Canada in a class above, and that's why it's a permanent equal member of the G7, of the G20, and those are
G20. Oh, yeah. Fucking 10 fucking cops grabbing me up and going through my shit. Why is someone walking down the street? Oh, you're walking away from the thing and you're like 5 kilometers away, so somehow this has something to do with it. Yeah,
hundreds of people, including Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown, demonstrated outside of the Peel District School Board headquarters yesterday.
You're asking an Alberta cop where something is in downtown Toronto. He's not going to know, but I can tell you.
Organized by students, including this one.
Because these people fucking, these are the noises they make to communicate. That's the directions for somebody you know does not live here. Never worked, never been here before in his life. He's not in the Toronto police uniform.
Suspended compared to their white peers, and in some cases, the police call on
downtown Toronto. You're asking directions? Are you
With a look now south of the border, a former Atlanta police officer has been charged in connection with the fatal shooting of Rayshard Brooks. As 680's Phil Martino tells us, the decision comes in the wake of a nationwide protest over the death of Black Americans in police custody. Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard says former Atlanta police officer Garrett Rolfe has been charged with felony murder in connection with 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks' death.
He's also charged in the arrest warrant with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Rolfe, who has already been fired from the Atlanta police force, is facing 11 charges in total. The other officer on scene, Devin Brosnan, faces 3 charges, including aggravated assault. Brosnan plans to testify
you know how many niggas they kill? Like, seriously, how fucking bad do you have to be?
This is the 9th time that an Atlanta police officer has been prosecuted for homicide. He believes this is the first time a police officer has offered to testify against a member of his unit. I'm Phil Martino.
The city is investigating a bylaw officer following reports that he racially profiled 2 women in a park in Etobicoke. Erica Nativi down of City News spoke with Deborah.
We've got an accident scene on the M25. Now that's Commercial Highway. If you're heading towards the N2, it's in the vicinity of the M25 before the N2 interchange, so do expect delays there. And every day we're going to learn a new road name. So the old Argyle Road, the new name is Sandile 2C Road. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team, I'm Jayshree Faris-Rahman.
Report traffic now to 33116.
New road names.
The roads are wet in most parts of KZN, so keep the safe social distancing and activate.
No, this one here.
We've got an accident scene on the M25. Now that's Commercial Highway. If you're heading towards the N2, it's in the vicinity of the M25 before the N2 interchange, so do expect delays there. And every day we're going to learn a new road name. So the old Argyle Road, the new name is Sandile 2C Road. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team, I'm Jayshree Faris-Rahman.
Report traffic now to 33116.
They wrote, are they going to say Argyle? Okay, I don't know what this consumer watch. Oh.
Consumer Watch with Wendy
Dutch. Oh, you're going to be
Hello, Wendy lady.
Hello, Darren again.
So I'm sure you're going to tell me about this. There was an admission in the papers not too long ago about the poor quality refuse bags in KZN.
Yeah.
Actually, are they in South Africa?
It's KZN. It's very much an Etegwini issue. I think it was you who called me the bag lady because at one point it was
I would admit to no such thing.
I was going on and on about the orange bags. They disappeared and there were issues and tender and whatever. Look, I'm a consumer journalist. There was a story in the Sunday Tribune this last weekend around tender issues and how this has affected the current problem, which is a batch of very substandard black bags in terms of construction and size and everything else. My neighborhood WhatsApp group has been having a go about it. Anyone else having trouble with these new so-called improved black bags? They rip when you try and separate them or pry them open. So yes, the municipality did put out a public notice saying customers who are experiencing problems with the municipality's black refuse bag due to poor quality or incorrect size should return these bags to the nearest cleansing and solid waste depot for an exchange, or contact us on this landline or email us. So I got a hold of Raymond Rampersad, who is the head of Etegwini's solid waste department, and I asked him, first of all, I said the depots are quite few and far between, so now you've got to schlep there with your batch of awful black bags. And so what has a new batch that aren't substandard now been acquired? Otherwise, what's to say that you don't go to all that trouble and in terms of petrol, public transport money, whatever, and then you hand it in and you get given a replacement which turns out to be the same. If that is the case, surely until this is sorted out, residents could buy their own to avoid all the schlep. And it can't be great for the refuse collectors either if they're picking up bags that are ripping and whatever. And then just remove that charge, whatever it is, from our municipal bills, because those bags get tossed over into our yards every month. I think it is. You get a month's supply, 2 per week, and we pay for that as part of the charge of our solid waste charge. So we're paying for those bags and currently not getting great quality. So his response was, they've received quite a few queries from residents with regard to the poor quality of bags. Yes, I can imagine. We then referred this to our SCM unit, whatever that is, for further investigation. We did give options to the residents, he said. Their bags could be returned to their nearest depots, or if not possible, you could phone or email, and we would make arrangements for bags to be collected and good bags given. Okay? He says, your suggestion of people buying their own bags, I do not support. Just look at the Maritzburg situation. Residents buy their own bags. I did not know that. And service delivery is at an all-time low. If people buy their bags, then there's a likelihood that the restriction of 2 bags per household will be difficult to uphold. I must confess I don't follow the logic of that. He said there might be an increase in the generation of waste, and also the monitoring of the waste stream becomes very difficult. I think you need to compare us with other municipalities in terms of the cost to ratepayers with regard to waste collection. In the new financial year, our waste collection costs have been reduced from 9.9% to 6.4%. Also note that waste collection includes transportation and disposal costs. Now, I don't know if it was just me, Darren, but there was a noticeable lack of an answer to my question about the actual problem, which is
the quality of
has this batch been worked through the system now? Have you got new ones? If not, how do you know you're not replacing one bad pack of bags with another bad pack? I mean, what is the story here? But I asked the question again, and I still didn't get an answer. I've asked a third time, and that was admittedly very recently, so I haven't yet had a response. I did ask what percentage of the sanitation charge on our bills is actually made up of the cost of the bags. The closest I've got to that is each bag costs 96 cents. So I have to report that that's as far as I've got, Darren. So probably have to be to be continued. What I would do is, I haven't got time to be messing with ripping bags. I would just buy my own supply and put that out on the pavement anyway, and think that the municipality should be happy that I'm being proactive. It's not about putting out more bags. It's about putting out bags that actually work for everybody. But there we are. That's where we are for now.
It seems like an added problem. My putting out the bags in the morning is fraught with challenges, not least of all people that are going around and then opening my bin, leaving them open, and then the monkeys have around too in the bin as well. So our entire street is filled with these challenges. So.
But are the monkeys wearing masks? Sorry, one does have to find one's last week. So go there.
I'm not a fan. All right.
No.
So, yes, last week we spoke about online retailers, specifically how they were battling with the delivery side, seeing as for a lot of them, they had been inundated with this and hadn't really prepared for the delivery side. Norman Goodfellas and Edgar's had decided to suspend the online deliveries because they claimed that they didn't want to disappoint customers anymore. Where are they now?
Okay, well, I went on to good old Hello Peter. I check, well, my own inbox is quite illuminating, but I check on Hello Peter to see how the various online retailers are doing, bearing in mind that people don't generally leave good comments there. They go on to vent, right? So today I saw from Mthombi's D, said this on Hello Peter. My order was placed on this is about Norman Goodfellas, by the way. My order was placed on the 26th of May, and I've not yet received it till this day. Each time I finally get a hold of them, they give me different dates. They promised last week, Thursday. That didn't happen. When you send them DMs and their Instagram, the response is computer generated. I'm not quite sure what to do after this. I'm too scared to ask for a refund because I might get my money this time in 2021. Malebo M, also on Hello Peter. I ordered end of May, but to date I've not received my order and their contact numbers don't even work. They don't even bother to keep you updated. I regret trying this. I should have just gone to the bottle store. I want my money. There were some swear words in there that I edited out. So what happened was...
You should say them and allow us to let us edit them out.
I'm such a good girl, don't I? Don't trust you. So what happened, you know, the alcohol run was a perfect storm because you know that what we couldn't buy alcohol from the end of March. And then at the end of May, we were suddenly told from 1st of June, level 3, you can buy alcohol. So thousands and thousands of people went onto Norman Goodfellas and ordered end of May for delivery in June, right? And some of them, and this is the problem, some of them did that for the first time. They had never ordered online from Norman Goodfellas before, and this was their first experience, which is unfortunate because they've been going for 46 years, and certainly in their stores and online until now, they were doing fine mostly. There was a red flag, and now suddenly there is. So Charles Kramer, CEO of Norman Goodfellas, got a hold of us, and actually he shared something really, really enlightening about what's been going on with them, and in particular why they, as an alcohol online retailer, well, they're not solely online, but why the online side was so affected. He says, e-commerce leaders in South Africa, first of all, this is a context. Online retail in South Africa has been propelled forward by 5 years as a result of COVID-19 and lockdown. And it's particularly true for liquor, as this was the slowest retail e-commerce category before lockdown, right?
So that means you're not going to get those growth 5 years from now you thought you were going to.
We come out and we get the news that we're coming out of level 4 into level 3 from June the 1st, and Norman Goodfellas opens up for orders prior to be delivered after June 1. They open up end of May. He says we went from under 100 orders a month to well over 10,000 orders in 10 days. Now that's a ramp up that is hard to get your head around. He said, previously, we always met our commitments to deliver within 2 to 3 days. He says, we were humbled and grateful to receive so many orders, as you can imagine, but very uncomfortable in not being able to provide our high service levels and to frustrate so many clients. I would imagine, especially first-time clients. He said we also, our communications channels and logistics infrastructure was just not geared to the overwhelming response. And of course, the two worked hand in hand to create so many really unhappy customers. Also, something I hadn't taken on board is, unlike the other retail categories, for online alcohol retailers, they can't deliver outside of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. So No, sorry, Mondays to Thursdays. So they not being able to deliver to private clients on Fridays and Saturdays or after hours was particularly troublesome. It didn't help their service levels. And they just decided to then suspend to be responsible and focusing our attention on the orders we had received. As I said, that's really commendable. And then communications on part orders. He says, previously our communications have been very, what he calls handheld, very personal service from beginning to end of the order. Before they had 2 people on a switchboard and a sales team of 10 with an online email address. Now we've scaled to a call center of more than 20, which has improved response times, but there's still frustration. They just can't deal with the number of people wanting to be communicated with. And part orders, this is quite interesting. Darren, stock outs from suppliers has been a major challenge for all of us, and certainly for us. We took a decision to send part orders so that our clients would at least having not had alcohol for 2 months prior to the lockdown. But again, we were unable to communicate this en masse to their customers. So it's unfortunate. They were trying to do the right thing, heart in the right place, but just the lack of communication didn't help. And myself and all the directors have had a starfish approach for each client we touched, and we followed through to a satisfactory conclusion. So where they are able to make contact with the customer, they've rescued it. That I love that starfish story. You can't help everyone, but you really make sure that you help or rescue the ones that you can make contact with. He says, what I'd like to tell our disgruntled customers is each and every client will be addressed personally. Orders will be fulfilled within 48 hours or a no-quarter refund. Backlog to be sorted by the end of June. I'm desperately trying to avoid refunds, not because of the financial loss, but because it's not in our culture to lose sales as a result of bad service. We understand our clients' frustrations. We offer no excuses. Their money is safe. We've been in business for 46 years, and we intend to be here much longer and offer a much more streamlined e-commerce facility. My personal details are available to the public, but I'd first encourage the call center to absorb the volumes better. So I must say, well done to him, to Charles, for stepping up into the line of fire and trying to explain. And certainly, with communication, with information, the understanding levels ramp up, and you can get that they just couldn't in a million years have foreseen or geared up in such a short space of time to deal with that massive surge in volume. Let me repeat it, from less than 100 orders a month to over 10,000 orders in 10 days. That is unprecedented with knobs on. There you go, Darren.
With knobs on. What the
That's
fuck?
it.
See,
I think that's actually the biggest takeaway is what I hear from this is that every single one of us is experiencing the knock-on effect of these unprecedented times, and a little bit of patience and a little bit of understanding goes a long way, I think.
And for retailers to really get whatever it takes to please put a lot of time and energy and resources into communication with your customers.
Yeah.
Because as I keep saying, and it keeps being proved to me over and over again, we consumers, most of us reasonable ones, have a great capacity for understanding if we just communicate it. Even if the news is bad, we know we said you'd get it to you by the 15th, but we just, working 24 hours, we just couldn't. So sorry, please give us another 10 days. And, let us feel that there's accountability, because, and then we're okay. We understand, but lack of information is what drives consumers completely batty, especially when they've paid money over, and now they're getting no money, no information, communication, bad combo. It's never gonna end well. Yeah. So just communicate even the bad news. So I just wish I could make that happen, because or maybe I shouldn't, because my inbox would empty out completely and I'd have nothing to talk to you about, Darren.
We can't plan, so I look forward to our Thursday gatherings.
Thank you, Darren, and until next time, stay safe.
an accident scene on the M25. Now that's Commercial Highway if you're heading towards the N2. It's in the vicinity of the M25 before the N2 interchange, so do expect delays there. And every day we're going to learn a new road name. So the old Argyle Road, the new name is Sandile Tusi Road. Please go Radio Traffic Team. I'm Jason Correspondent.
Report traffic now to 33116.
Every 30 seconds is going to take 30 seconds.
Taking a look at your traffic, it's mostly conditions on the N3, so remember to put on your headlights. And due to rain, the roads are wet in most parts of KZN, so keep to safe social distancing and add some extra travel time to your trip. And don't forget to wear a mask. For the East Coast Radio Traffic Team, I'm Jay Chicago.
NBC announced its fall schedule on Tuesday, but many are wondering, how do you do a show where people dance
every fucking time I go to use some, that's what breaks.
Out with a bunch of guys, while coronavirus cases are going up in some places.
You're trying to play a 27-second clip, but it's 30 seconds to load. Over,
doesn't mean there won't be changes, because as we've seen over and over again the past few months, nothing is set in stone. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Coming up in 60 seconds, your 680 News Business Report.
You need to feel at home when you're at home 24/7. Get everything you need to make yourself comfortable at Aero Furniture. Shop now and save big during Aero Furniture Stimulus Surplus Sale. Save the taxes or save up to 50% off. Or don't pay for 18 months. Aero Furniture Stimulus Surplus Sale. On now for a limited time at all 4 GTA locations.
You got a surplus? I can do that. You can sell nothing.
Conditions apply.
Get this shit out of here. We don't want to watch it till my grandfather is so mad. He had to pay me to watch the same piece the second time.
Covenant House remains open 24/7, serving more than 300 youth a day. Our frontline staff are working around the clock to keep homeless youth healthy and safe during this pandemic. We continue to provide food, shelter, medical care, counseling, and more, but we can't do this without your help. For $40, you can feed and shelter a youth for a day. Go to covenanthousetoronto.ca to donate. We're all in this together.
680 News Time, 156. Now the 680 News Business Report. Here's Carl Garnish.
Good morning. Fourth quarter results are expected from the parent company of Sobeys today. Analysts are keeping a close eye on Empire Company and other major Canadian grocers as people continue to stock up on essentials during the coronavirus pandemic. And this report comes as Empire, Loblaws, and Metro recently ended their pandemic pay for workers. On base, shares of Empire Company rose by 0.5% in Wednesday trading. And North American markets are coming off a mixed session. The TSX down, S&P finished lower for the first time in 4 days, with the TSX down by 87 points to 15,428. Stateside, the Dow fell by 170 points to 26,119. S&P dropping by 11 points to 3,113.
No more. I'm not going to stop. Loblaws or Metro or
by 14 points to 9,910. Now time for the Express Gold Refining XAU.ca gold price update. It lost 90 cents, finishing at 1,735. Oil finished lower for the first time in 3 days. It fell by 1.1%, closing at $37.96 a barrel. And the Energy Information Administration reported that U.S. crude supplies saw a weekly gain of 1.2 million barrels. Here at home, Western Canadian slump sunk by more than 2.4% to 29.1 a barrel. And the Canadian dollar fell by 0.13 cents, closing at 73.72 cents US. Today we are expected to get Canada's new housing price index for May and wholesale trade for April. And with more on what we're watching, here's Bloomberg's Larry Kofsky.
Jobs will be in the spotlight today as we get the government's weekly tally of first-time jobless claims. And we'll see further improvement with claims falling below 1.3 million. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
At the Business Center, I'm Carl Garnish.
Make the most of what comes next with a bank account that gives you more. With the Scotiabank Ultimate Package, you can get a boost to your savings, unlimited Interac e-transfer transactions, and a $300 welcome bonus. So make the most of what comes next with the Scotiabank Ultimate Package. For a limited time, conditions apply. Visit scotiabank.com/ultimate300. Scotiabank.
Rona asked renovators how good they're feeling about getting outside this summer.
Are you kidding? Look at my smile.
This is radio?
Oh, sorry. Look at my smile.
No, they can't see you.
Hey, dude, you're killing the vibe.
With parcel and truck delivery, curbside pickup, and DIY project videos, find everything you need for backyard projects at Rona.ca. Do more at home, outside. Conditions apply.
Checking some regional weather conditions in Caledon, clear and 15 degrees. Right now in downtown Toronto, we are also clear and 18 degrees. Similar conditions at Pearson Airport and 19 degrees. 680 news time, 2 o'clock.
On for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Good morning. This is Thursday, June the 18th. I'm Carly Donahue. And I'm Veronica Thor. Here's what's making news this hour.
The Trudeau government survives a confidence vote in the House of Commons as the Prime Minister promises to open the federal books next month and show Canadians the fiscal and economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, yeah.
A disappointing end to a campaign nearly 5 years in the making. Canada has lost its bid for a seat on the United Nations Security Council.
A former Atlanta police officer is facing over 10 charges in connection with the shooting death of Rayshard Brooks. A second officer at the scene is now a state witness.
And today, families and friends will be reunited as long-term care and retirement homes begin accepting visitors for the first time in 3 months.
Isn't a police officer
We'll
always
get to the latest on the negotiations between Major League Baseball and its players as the Rogers Cup will not be played in Toronto this year. Sports at 15.
Google's rolling out a multi-million-dollar package to support black businesses. Markets are coming off a mixed session.
Buy stuff, stupid. What the fuck is wrong with these?
Today.
We're gonna support you. Are you gonna buy stuff? Or we're gonna
Traffic and weather together on the ones with a look at the roads. Here's Craig Gear.
A couple of things to mention right off the bat here. Southbound DVP, just south of the Baby Bloor ramp. Looks like we have the right shoulder blocked due to a pedestrian on the expressway. So just to make sure you're way off to the left side as you go by here while they tend to that. And just off the phone with the traffic spotter on City Streets, northbound Kennedy, as you're approaching the 401, we have a vehicle on fire. Emergency crews are on the way, but that's what's going on there. Now to the highways, construction. We have a lot of lane restrictions here and there. I'm not seeing any delays right now, so we'll just talk about the ramps that are closed to and from. We have the Trafalgar, southbound Winston Churchill, the Mississauga Road, and the Mavis ramps to the eastbound 401 shutdown. Eastbound 401 ramp 2 here, Ontario, that's also been closed off. Westbound side, northbound Port Union, the Nielsen, both the Markham, northbound McCowan ramps to the west 401 shutdown, and the westbound 401 ramp off the highway to McCowan's closed. We have the collectors shut down from approaching Warden to the 404. And then we also have the southbound Mississauga Road and the southbound Winston Churchill ramps to the west 401 shut down for overnight road work. Eastbound and westbound 407 ramps to the north 427 shut down for maintenance. We are also looking at the northbound 427 ramps to Finch and Highway 7 closed for construction. Eastbound 403 blocked at Dundas, closed for maintenance. So you're going to have to exit at Dundas. You can take Dundas to Winston Churchill and then continue eastbound on the 403 from there. Your next report is at 2:11, and with the forecast, here's Adam Stiles.
It's another sunny day here across the GTA. Afternoon high temperatures, slightly warmer, 29 in the forecast. We'll see Humidex values in the lower 30s as the relative humidity stays fairly low. It's a bit of a fresher, warm day with more sunshine. Today's high, 29.
Right now in downtown Toronto, clear and 18 degrees. Similar conditions at Pearson Airport and 19 degrees. 680 news time, 2:03. The Trudeau government has avoided a potential federal election in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic. It comes as the Prime Minister promises to deliver a fiscal snapshot of the federal books next month. 680's Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney has more.
Carried.
And with those words from the Speaker of the House, the Trudeau government survives a confidence vote on $87 billion in program spending amid this pandemic. The NDP propping up the Liberals after the Prime Minister agreed to their demand to extend the emergency response benefit. If the Liberals lost the vote, the minority government would have been toppled and we could have faced a COVID-19 election, but that's been avoided. The vote came hours after the Prime Minister also promised what he calls a fiscal and economic snapshot of the impact of this pandemic. On July 8th, the Feds will lay out the federal books as they stand, how Canada compares to other countries, and what may happen in the months ahead. Justin Trudeau stresses this is not a fiscal update like the opposition had been calling for because it's impossible to give long-term forecasts. He also won't say when we can expect a budget.
Right now, we're still very much responding to an immediate situation, and we will continue to reflect on when that time could be right.
The Bloc Québécois critical of the timing of this snapshot, saying the Liberals are trying to dump the numbers in the summer when no one's paying attention. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
Normally that'd be true. I don't think they
standing by what he said in the House of Commons Wednesday after he was kicked out for calling a Bloc Québécois MP a racist. Singh was trying to get unanimous consent for a motion that would recognize systemic racism within the RCMP and demanded a review of the budget and use of force by officers. Singh choked up as he told reporters Bloc MP Alain Thériault was the only person to deny consent for the motion.
Yeah, but I want to know why.
That MP not only say no, but make eye contact with me and just kind of brush his hand, dismiss it. And in that moment, I got angry. I'll be honest, I got angry. But I'm sad now.
Let's among some things, bro.
Because why can't we
downtown to downtown?
The Bloc logged a formal complaint in the House, but Singh refused to apologize for his remarks, so the Speaker ordered him out of the chamber for the rest of the day.
Despite a multi-million-dollar bid, Canada's attempt at nabbing a coveted seat on the United Nations Security Council has failed. 6 days after
Did Norway get it or not? Because if Ireland got it, we're fucking.
Votes to secure the covenant.
I ain't saying they can't fight. I don't think they should be able to secure the Council of the UN.
John Curtin, an international relations professor at U of T, says Canada's campaign to having progressive values such as gender equality and climate change was almost identical to its competitors.
Be like the same as the U.S. Army.
Number of the countries who voted were not as committed to those
tech sector you got.
Foreign Affairs Minister François Champagne says it's not all bad news.
Facebook is based alone. No,
ever more present now. Our influence is greater. We have reconnected with countries around the world.
Canada last sat on the Security Council back in 2010 when Stephen Harper's Conservative government's bid to retain the seat was rejected. Getting that spot back was a campaign priority for the Trudeau Liberals, who spent more than $2 million on the bid. I'm Asher Roth.
Yeah, well, they spent $2 billion at the sale of long gun registry.
Can visit loved ones in long-term care
long guns aren't
in
even
retirement
registered
homes in the province. It comes with some strict guidelines, however, to protect the safety of residents, staff, and visitors. Long-term care homes will now be allowing outdoor visits of one person per resident each week, while retirement homes are set to resume indoor and outdoor visits in designated areas or resident suites where proper physical distancing can be followed. The homes must also not be in a current outbreak, must maintain the highest infection prevention and control standards, and they have to have a process in place for communicating with visitors. The majority of deaths through COVID-19 in the province have been residents of long-term care and residential homes.
Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown joined hundreds of protesters who rallied outside the Peel District School Board headquarters Wednesday. The rally, which was called a March for Justice, was organized by students, including this one.
South Africa's
how things were increasing and how the tensions were rising. We came together and thought that this would be the perfect time to get this March for Injustice. The Peel Board has neglected us time and time again, and we came together and said, we should take advantage of this and get our, voice our concern.
The protest comes on the heels of a report that came out in March alleging Black students are disproportionately suspended when compared to their peers, and in some cases have the police called on them by staff.
6 City News Time 2:08. Mayor John Tory says the allegations against a bylaw officer who's accused of threatening and racially profiling two Black women at an Etobicoke Park are extremely disturbing, and says an independent investigation is now necessary to ensure that the general public is satisfied that the incident will be reviewed objectively.
Without prejudging what they're going to find, anything that involves intimidating or threatening or engaging in any kind of profiling or racial discrimination in our city has always been unacceptable to the
city government and to the people of Toronto. And, we will sort of have that as our guiding light going forward, and we'll see what the investigation produces.
A video posted online shows two black women accusing a city bylaw officer of threatening to shoot them after they allegedly jumped a fence and trespassed at Centennial Park.
You can tell from the sound of them. They ain't jumping fences.
The police officer is facing charges.
You think they would have gone in there on purpose if the fence was closed?
Twist, the other officer at the scene is now a state witness. The 6 News Bill Martino tells us this all comes just 5 days after the 27-year-old Brooks was shot in Atlanta.
Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard says Rayshard Brooks, who was shot in the back during an attempted arrest, posed no deadly threat. Now, former Atlanta police officer Garrett Rolfe has been charged with felony murder and 10 other offenses in connection with his death. Devin Brosnan, the other police officer on scene, also faces 3 charges, including aggravated assault. But there's more.
Something quite remarkable that happened in this case, and it involves the testimony of the other officer, Devin Brosnan, because Officer Brosnan has now become a state's witness. He has decided to testify on behalf of the state in this case.
Rolfe has already been fired, and Brosnan has been put on administrative duty. I'm Phil Martino. There's been a lot of debate about face masks and if they work to prevent the spread of this virus, and if kids should be wearing them at all. Toronto pediatrician Dr. Dina Kulik is going to help us clear some of the confusion up in an interview with 680 News later today. You can watch it live on the 680 News Facebook account at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
I don't do it. My
Coronavirus updates and breaking news.
That's a side. It's all aside from fucking being accused of a fucking necessary to murder.
It's now time for your gas price update. As Amber predicted, the price went up 1 cent at midnight to just under $1 and 2 cents a liter at most GTA stations. We'll have traffic and weather together next. 680 News Time, 2 times.
COVID-19 continues to be a serious health risk, so we have to continue to protect ourselves and others to limit the spread of the disease. That means wearing a non-medical mask or face covering in places like grocery stores and public transit, washing our hands often, and staying home if sick. That's how we'll help keep our loved ones safe. Let's protect each other. Learn more at canada.ca/coronavirus or 1-833-784-4397. A message from the Government of Canada.
680 News Time, 2:11. Traffic and weather together. Here's Craig here.
So that pedestrian that was on the DVP is now gone, so that's good news. Vehicle fire cleanup underway. Kennedy approaching the 401 according to traffic spotters. We do
they don't know they're making it on the radio because they ain't sitting there with an AM radio. They ain't driving.
Eastbound 401, we have a lot of construction. Some ramps that are blocked are Trafalgar, southbound Winston Churchill, Mississauga Road, and both the main ramps of the eastbound 401 shut down. Eastbound 401 ramp 2 here in Ontario, that's also closed. A lot of lane restrictions here and there. Some transfers into the express lanes are also closed, but for the most part, pretty good drive, moving well. Westbound 401, we have approaching Port Union, the express to collector transfer blocked. Northbound Port Union ramp to the West 401's blocked, as well as the Nielsen, the Martin Road, and northbound McCowan ramps to the westbound 401. The westbound 401 ramp to McCowan, that's closed. Approaching Warden to the 404, they've shut down the collector lanes for overnight maintenance work.
They don't want us to forget nothing,
Winston Churchill ramp to the westbound 401 as well. Northbound 427, no access to Finch or Highway 7 up at the top. Eastbound 403 is closed at Dundas this morning. You're going to get forced off at Dundas, and then you can take Dundas to Winston Churchill. A little bit of a detour for you there, but you can get back on the eastbound 403 from Winston Churchill. Your next report is at 2:21, and with the forecast, here's Adam Stiles.
We've got a high of 29 in the forecast today. With a little bit of a lake breeze, which means it will be cooler. Likely in the lower 20s. Heading up to an afternoon high temperature tomorrow of 29. Looks like the overall low is going to be a bit on the mild side as well. Starting off the day tomorrow at 17 degrees. No sunshine expected, but we need to watch out for a little lake breeze thunderstorms. It's going to be affecting the north end of the GTA likely throughout the afternoon hours. Today, it's sunshine with a high of 29.
18 degrees with a clear sky in downtown Toronto. We're sitting at 20 degrees at Toronto Pearson Airport and a clear sky as well. Well, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was in a car crash yesterday after a protester ran in front of the vehicle as it left Parliament.
Protesters were out as Boris Johnson's motorcade left the parliamentary gates after question time. One person then jumped toward the vehicles, and the Prime Minister's car slammed on the brakes.
Did Boris shit his pants? He's got the same military issue long jumps. His are bigger, though.
The security SUV right behind rear-ended Johnson's silver Jaguar, causing minor damage.
Minor? You know how much it costs to get a Jaguar?
No injuries.
What era of Jaguar is it?
ABC News, London.
Is it a Ford
Coming up, we'll
Jaguar?
have your
Is
top
it a
stories
Fiat
and
Jaguar?
sports.
Is it a
680 News Time,
Chrysler
214.
Is it a Volkswagen Jaguar? Is it a Porsche? So which companies have they not been fucking connected
doors again? Nissan is
What
ready
a
to
garbage car.
finance 2020 Nissan Rogue for 2019 cash.
Oh, good. We got the shit bag for the shit bagging factory. The piece of garbage. It's garbage bags.
Bonus on other select models. Visit choosenissan.ca. Contact your local dealer to find out more. Conditions apply.
When your home is your sanctuary, the hot weather means your air conditioner needs to work. If you need repairs or replacements, Reliance Home Comfort answers your call 24/7. We're taking every precaution to keep you safe. We're ready to help with deferred payments and no interest for 18 months on featured air conditioners. And, as always, you can count on our next day installation guarantee. When you need air conditioner help now, call on Reliance. Financing OAC, interest accrues from end of deferral period. Conditions apply. See website for details.
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
18 degrees with a clear sky in downtown Toronto. Good morning from the 680 News Broadcast Center. I'm Carlin Donahue. Here's what's making news. The federal government survived a confidence vote yesterday, thanks in part to the NDP supporting them. This vote came from the minority government spending around $87 billion during this pandemic. A vote of non-confidence would have seen the Trudeau government
hold on. You're not
election.
counting the loans. Like you're going to get it all back.
NDP leader
Plus
Jagmeet
the
Singh
extensions.
thrown out of the
You
House
can't
of
have that
Commons
either.
yesterday after calling a fellow MP racist.
120 or
MP
something
lodging a
last
formal
week.
complaint, but Singh stood by his comments. The incident came up as Singh sought unanimous consent for a motion on systemic racism in the RCMP. And today marks a milestone for many in the province as friends and families can reunite with their loved ones in long-term and retirement homes. The majority of Ontario's COVID deaths have been from these facilities, and after an almost 3-month ban, visits will be allowed starting today. 680 News Time, it's 2:16. Sports from Sportsnet 590. Here's Rob Wong.
Looks like something may have gotten lost in translation between Major League Baseball and its players union once again after reports surfaced that the two sides had come together on the framework for a deal. Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic reports that while the MLB feels that way, the players currently don't. The latest proposal by the league was for a 60-game season with the players getting paid 100% of their prorated salary. However, the players do not think that is enough games, especially after the league offered 72 games just 5 days ago. USA Today's
you could have had 72 games 5 days ago. Still, that's 2 games a day. You guys are fucking retarded. Jeez, why didn't you take the fight? Oh my God, this is why the fucking owners are getting fucking confused.
However, the ATP announced their new summer schedule. They'll get back on the court August 14th at the City Open in Washington on August 3rd. The WTA Tour will resume in Italy. And Manchester City blanked Arsenal 3-0 in their return to Premier League action.
More games last week.
Aston
This is
Villa
right.
and
How come there's less
Sheffield
games this
United
week? Well, there's less
scoreless.
time.
Sports
That's not right. We're going to
15 and 45
one more
past
time.
every hour
to
or anytime at sportsnet.ca/.
The number keeps going down.
680 News
You
Time,
guys are stupid.
2:17.
Rona asks renovators how good they're feeling about getting outside this summer. Are you kidding? Look at my smile.
Oh.
This is radio. Oh, sorry. Look at my smile. No, they can't see you. Dude, you're killing the vibe. With parcel and truck delivery, curbside pickup, and DIY project videos, find everything you need for backyard projects.
I did one of the weeks, so
outside. Conditions
like
apply.
academic intellectual level. I want to document
For
what
more
I'm
than a
going
quarter
through.
century,
Because I
Northwood
know
Mortgage has been
statistically nobody
supporting
else
Canadians
has.
through the good times and bad. We know
And on
it's
the other
different
hand,
for
mentally, I
everyone
need to
right now,
remind
so
her
let's think
sometimes.
about your
When I
cash
feel
flow.
healthy,
Now's
oh,
the
this
time to
young is a
consider
walk like
refinancing your
200
home
miles
with a
today.
no-payment mortgage.
Died 10
Northwood
minutes from
Mortgage
my
is
house.
working harder
to get you the funds you need. We're here for you, and we're more flexible than the banks. Apply online at northwoodmortgage.com.
Kind of people we're talking about saving money.
License
We're saving
10349.
nothing to go out.
You're listening to All News Radio 680 News. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney says that his government will explore the idea of taking Alberta out of the Canada pension plan and creating its own Alberta pension program.
Yeah, do that.
Kenney says given Alberta's young population, such a plan could prove more beneficial, but says that he won't go forward with it without clear cost and benefits.
Ask Kathleen Wing on that one.
Concludes that an Alberta provincial pension would be a net benefit to Albertans. We would then proceed to give Alberta voters the final say on the proposal in a province-wide referendum.
Kenney was responding to one of the recommendations from the Fair Deal panel, which was created last fall to find ways to help Alberta assert its independence within Confederation. The panel says Albertans want to explore a pension plan, even though almost 60% of the people it surveyed by phone said they're happy with the current CPP. And in the States now, U.S. President Donald Trump has released his plan to address the high number of suicide among U.S. military veterans. The $53 million effort will include a public messaging campaign to raise awareness at a time of increased isolation due to this pandemic. Trump says America's veterans deserve all the help they can get.
Don't say commander-in-chief, nothing. He's elected official. You can fucking refuse to serve.
The crisis of veteran suicide
Serving your COs.
and protect our nation's most treasured heroes.
Canadian forces think they're always in contact with this. No, you gotta think for your fucking self sometimes.
It remains unclear how much of Trump's plan will
That's why
result
they give you
in
the guns to go
concrete
1, 2,
action.
3.
Much of the effort will
1, 2,
need
3,
congressional
you're done.
action as well as
Can't have it.
cooperation from state governors and local groups. You're
Canada,
listening to
they're
All
gonna
News
go,
Radio
why would you
680
complicate
News.
that?
It's 2:20 in the morning. It's been a
People are
staple
simple.
at the
They're
breakfast
stupid
table for
workers.
over a century, but now the Aunt Jemima brand is being removed. Nigel Newlove has more.
In the midst of a racial awakening,
Make her a white woman
PepsiCo,
with a black
the owner of the
Japanese.
pancake
Okay, no.
mix,
Okay,
has
so maybe for
decided to
this
pull
one.
the brand
Make her a
and
white
name
woman with a
over its
Japanese
racial
husband.
stereotype. Aunt Jemima is a juggernaut in
Serious.
the food industry, spanning
Or if it's an
131
auntie,
years of
it could be
breakfast
anybody's
tables.
auntie, right?
But the image is
This
connected to a
disassociate
shameful
from this is a
history
person, it's
that
a brand.
perpetuated the
Okay.
image of mammies, black women who worked as servants or nannies for a white family, but they were content, happy slaves with a great love for their white family. The company had this to say in a statement: "We recognize Aunt Jemima's origins are based on a racial stereotype.
Yeah,
As
but you
we
want to
work toward
erase it
progress
from
toward
history?
racial equality through several initiatives, we must also take a hard look at our portfolio of brands and ensure they reflect our values and meet our consumers' expectations." Now,
Right,
Uncle
they just
Ben's,
suck
a
us
well-known
out.
brand of rice, is expected to follow suit of Aunt Jemima. A spokesperson for Mars, which owns Uncle Ben's, says the company is listening to consumers and recognizes now
You
is
sell
the time
chocolate
to
bars
evolve
too?
the
Because
brand,
I'm more
including
concerned when
its
you
visual
dump junk
identity.
food in the ghetto than what the
Ottawa,
fuck your
Nigel
character
City
looks like.
News.
Make him Hitler and racist, or a racist stereotype. A racist stereotype up here.
A lot of construction out there. We'll talk about the main parts
I
of
don't care if
interest
you
on
stop
eastbound
dumping the junk
401.
food in the
ramp to
ghetto.
Guelph Line's closed. As you approach Guelph Line, only the left lane's
I should
open
fucking make
for
an
a stretch.
application for that
Trafalgar
traffic
ramp,
factor.
southbound Weston Churchill, Mississauga, and the Mavis ramps
Hey,
to
you
the
got
eastbound
Spile Rumble,
401
your
are
factory's
closed
still
down,
there
doing some
somewhere.
road work through Mississauga Road in the two right lanes. The
Nothing's
ramp
free.
2 here,
Nothing's not
Ontario,
even in
is
the
also
Netherlands.
blocked off. A lot of construction, some lanes taken away here and there on the eastbound 401, but we're moving well. It's up to speed. We have the northbound Port
Chocolate
Union ramp to
factory
the
applies.
westbound 401 shut down.
Plantation, right.
At the transfer here at Port Union into the
South
collectors,
Africa,
it's
that's right.
closed. And the Nielsen, the Markham, northbound McAllen ramps to the west 401
I
also
don't know who my
blocked. Westbound
grandfather
401
did. He
ramp
killed
to
somebody.
McAllen, that's closed
Either
as
that
well.
or his dad.
Approaching Warden to the 404, they've shut down the collector lanes for overnight maintenance. And the southbound Winston Churchill ramp to the westbound 401 shut down as well. A lot of other lane restrictions here and there on most of the major routes. We have some other ramps though. Northbound 427 ramp to Finch and Highway 7 blocked off. Eastbound 403 is closed at Dundas. You can take Winston Churchill to continue on the eastbound 403. Next report at 2:31 with the forecast. Here's Adam Stiles.
It's a warm one yet again. Daytime highs today 29, feeling like 31. Southeast breeze up to about 30 kilometers
It's
per
about
hour.
30.
Near the lakeshore to be into the
I
low
know what the
20s.
humanity
Break
is.
from the
It's
heat.
about 30.
As we head overnight, temperatures
You
down
not
to
say
17
that.
degrees. The sky is clear. Tomorrow,
You're going to tell us
showers with
exact
thunderstorms
conditions
in the
here and it's
afternoon,
similar
forming
to
along
3
our
other
lake
places?
breeze boundary, so the north end of the GTA. Could see a few scattered showers late in the day. Everybody else sticks with sunshine and a high temperature of 29. Humidex will be close to 32.
It's going to be rainy and cloudy in one part of the city.
Saturday,
and the rest will be sunny. He just fucking
like 37 as
said
we
it.
make our way into Sunday.
Yeah, like
More sunshine, 31
it's a
also
secret. I
feeling
don't think
like
outside is
37.
believe us.
Chance of storms
There's a
late
video of snow in
Sunday. Looks like
fucking
most of the weekend stays dry.
April in the
Today,
sun,
a high of 29
and then there was more snow in May.
downtown
There
Toronto,
wasn't
we're sitting
sunny.
at
I don't know
18
which one's
degrees with a
weirder.
clear
It's all
sky in the Toronto Pearson Airport.
both
It's
pretty much
20
equal.
and actually just dropping down to 17 degrees
3 different
and a clear
snows,
sky
not
as
2.
well. Remember, 680 News is the only radio station that has a weather guarantee. Today's jackpot standing at $3,400. 680 News time, 224.
Tell us where the insurance guy went that has your money that you couldn't find that day that you don't want to talk about and make it fucking happen. Okay, I'm recording that.
We're talking about the projections for Q3. Is that clear?
It's summer, and it's time to build that extra room outside. Find everything you need to build your dream backyard at Lowe's.ca and enjoy parcel and truck delivery as well as curbside pickup. Efficient supply. Lowe's. Make your yard your home.
Coronavirus updates and breaking news.
Be the first to know newsletter. Minister is not ruling out giving NHL. 3 Canadian cities are in the running to become a hub city and host games as the league prepares to hold an expanded playoff format later this year. Prime Minister Trudeau says he's open to different arrangements.
We will be making announcements around this at the appropriate time, but we're working with local health authorities, provincial health authorities, and the NHL.
Johnson one of those
Trudeau stresses all hub city plans have to ensure the safety of Canadians and prevent the spread of COVID-19. Coming up in just 60 seconds, your business report with Carl Garnish. 680 News time, 225. Marineland is getting ready for their 2020 season to provide a safe, fun outdoor experience for the whole family to enjoy. With wide open spaces, rides for the kids big and small, exciting animal exhibits, and great spots for families to picnic. Marineland has it all. They're opening soon and can't wait to see your family having fun at the park this summer. Visit Marineland.ca to learn more about the reopening plans for 2020. Everyone loves Marineland. Your home is your castle, your refuge, your safe place.
Our job at 1-800-JUNK is to make
No, it's not OCB, it's OCBAR. No, OCBAR. OCBAR.
We
I want
promise.
those
Give us a
Oxfords.
call or go to our
Oxfords.
website and your junk disappears or truck
How
drives
the
past
fuck
your home.
OCB? I can't find out anything about anything right from
Before you
someone.
complain.
And our gloved professionals
I can
touch
find out they
nothing
got
except
shitty
the
garbage
things you want
bags in
to
South Africa,
disappear.
and we make good ones there.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
No,
Visit
doesn't he fucking fill a whole
1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
shipping thing with them things? Oh, yeah.
680 News time, 226.
The cascading effect of that would be what? Huge.
Good morning. Google stepping up its efforts to support black businesses. Alphabet and Google CEO Sundar Pichai announced that the company is rolling out a $175 million economic opportunity package, which will go towards helping business owners, startup founders, job seekers, and developers. As well, the company plans to increase the diversity in its leadership.
Hold on. Leave the job seekers out of it for a moment, because we'll find
U.S.
that.
shares of Google parent
You
Alphabet were
said
higher by 0.4%
businesses.
in Wednesday trading. And Wall Street's coming off a
You're
mixed
gonna try and trick
session,
us into
with the
working
Dow
for
and
this
S&P
before they
finishing
end
lower
it.
for the
You
first
can
time in
still
4 days.
I'd buy the
Dow
bulk
fell by
of it in
170 points to 26,119. S&P dropping by 11 points to 3,113, while it's a 4-day rally for the Nasdaq, up by 14 points to 9,910. As for the TSX, it snapped a 3-day rally, down by 87 points to 15,428. And after the closing bell, Hexo announced that it has sold its Niagara Falls facility for more than $10.2 million to an undisclosed buyer. At the close on Bay, Hexo dropped by 11.9% Wednesday to $1.11. Now time for the Express Gold Refining XAU.ca gold price update. It lost 90 cents, finishing at $1,735. Oil fell by 1.1%, closing at $37.96 a barrel, while the Canadian dollar dropped by 13/100ths of a cent, closing at 73.72 cents US. Today, we are expected to get Canada's new housing price index for May, wholesale trade for April, and the latest report on U.S. weekly jobless claims. Some forecasts expected around 1.3 million. As well, Sobeys parent Empire Company and Kroger are set to release earnings. At the Business Center, I'm Carl Garnish.
Home has never been more important, and now you're relying on home appliances more than ever. That's why, just like you, Appliance Canada is soldiering on. They've adjusted their services, so all their expertise and products are still available online, by email, or by phone. Right now, you need your appliances to be dependable, and the professionals supplying them even more so. That's why Appliance Canada is doing what they can to keep home feeling like home. With free delivery in the GTA, get started at ApplianceCanada.com. Appliance Canada, for your home, for your life.
Weather forecast you can bank on, because if we're off by more than 3 degrees,
You could win our growing cash jackpot. The 680 News Weather Guarantee. Enter online at 680news.com.
A message from the Warren. When you use the Warren key tag, you protect your keys. If you lose your keys, the finder can call the number on the back of the tag.
So the less I do with this, the more you're gonna bog up later.
And the Warren will return your keys to you. For